magic from him, perhaps. It's a good ball. Racing. It goes to a Rod. Brilliant save, it's in! Walsh has scored! Leicester City are in dreamland now! Vardy in the middle. This could be a huge moment. Vardy scores! And it's pandemonium in Leicester.
Mahrez with his left, Albrighton with his right. It is Mahrez. It's a good ball in. Morgan's there. It's in. Leicester City score. It is a captain's goal from Wes Morgan, who lifted the Premier League trophy in May. He might have played a big part now in taking Leicester City through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League.
Lift the trophy to the skies. Leicester City are the champions of the Premier League. 5,000 to 1.
I think you're muted, mate. I can't hear you. I can't hear you at the very least. I cannot hear you at all, Lux. Brilliant start to the show. And I'm even wearing the Leicester shirt today. Something's actually happened, and technical difficulties shall not escape us today. Is it on my end? I'm pretty sure it's your end. I checked. Yeah, you can't tell me the reason it's not working, because I can't hear the reason that it's not working, mate. Aye. And it's not just me, Ross in the chat as well. Russell LCFC 1993. Well, I've got the honors then to welcome you all to this beautiful Monday. We have a bit of news in the Leicester space. Brian Barry Murphy has headed over to Cardiff to be their first team manager. So that obviously means we got a few pennies in the bank. And more importantly as well, I think that does solidify that Ruud has no future at the football club. We'll see as things develop, but there are a few things to talk about. I'm sure we'll get around both football and things outside of that as well, as obviously all things considered, it has to still been relatively quiet, but nice to get a drop of news today, right? As Lux desperately, we can't hear you, mate. We can't hear you. And the issue is, I do not have the power on StreamYard to pull guests in, so I can't just kick Lux out and say, screw it, I'm taking over the show. So we are stuck to wait out his technical difficulties. Embarrassing. From the biggest Leicester fan channel, as we've pulled in the first guest. How you doing, mate?
How you doing? Are you all right? You all right, Doc? How's it going? I'll fill in for Locks while he's having technical difficulties. Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. I just wanted to come on and sort of say the news about obviously Murphy going to Cardiff. I think this can only be a good thing because, like you guys were saying a couple of days ago, I think that he would have been on his way out the door anyway.
Yeah.
And, you know, if we can get any sort of compensation for him, I think that's only a good thing. I can't see Ruud staying, but I think the frustration is that we don't have a clue what's going on. You know, I think the problem is that the main source of news that I'm getting is from you guys. Do you know what I mean? It's not coming from the
testing.
Yeah.
We can hear you, like, welcome back.
There we go. I still blame Doc, even though it was me. I still blame Doc. Anyway, continue, Joe. Sorry, don't let me interrupt, mate. You're on a roll. Go for it.
I was just saying, like, the main source of information I'm getting is from you guys. I'm so bored with no football at the moment. I'm actually rewatching some of your classic streams. I actually watched the Ian Hume interview a couple of hours ago. What a player he was, by the way, because he was one when I was in my teenage years. I loved him. He was my favourite player when he was at the club. So it was great to watch that back because I didn't watch it at the time. So yeah, no, great content, guys. I've got a couple of bones to pick if you're all right with me doing it.
Yeah, man.
Let's hear it.
With a few bits. First one, the two don't correlate, so bear with me. First one is, obviously you will have probably seen the comment in obviously your comments on one of your videos. I'm fed up with this kind of, you're not a Leicester fan if you don't go to the games comment.
Who's been saying that? Has someone on our channel been saying that?
There's just been a few times where I've seen a couple of comments where I think.
Oh yes, I know what you mean.
They made a comment regarding you guys don't have any stakes in the game because you're not match-going fans, and I think you've got to realise that everybody's in a different situation. And I obviously commented back, and it was very much like, that I can't afford it financially. I live in a different area of the country. I'm a disabled supporter, so transport isn't easy for me. I don't drive, but it still doesn't mean that I don't care as much as the match-going fans. I get to as many games as I can, but ultimately, not everybody, and you've got two people on this channel, Duck included, and Luke, who live in different countries, one on the other side of the world, who I wouldn't say are any less passionate than myself or anybody who goes to a match.
And let me tell you this, Doc and Luke and yourself, Joe, you've got excuses. I mean, I live a mile down the road and I don't go. And let me tell you one thing now, right? If I had a ticket available every single game, mate, you know what? With how it's being run at the minute and how they treat fans, I wouldn't fucking go anyway. I wouldn't go because I'd refuse to go, man. I'm not going. I think and giving money when it was my birthday the other day, Joe. Right? It was my birthday the other day. Sorry, Doc. I'm on one here. It was my birthday the other day, and my girlfriend said, "What do you want? Would you like anything from the club shop for your birthday?" I went, "Absolutely not. I don't want you to spend a single penny there with how it's going at the minute. Yeah, fuck that. Anyway, go on.
No, I mean, just look behind me. I've got I got it for my 30th birthday last year. It's I don't know whether you can see it. I'm trying to get
the Albright
shirt. Signed shirt. From the 23-24 season, obviously with it being his last season, and he was my favourite player just because work rate means everything to me, and he was a player that every time he stepped onto the pitch, work rate wasn't always the most skillful, but he would always give 100%. But I'm with your locks now. It's kind of, will I be getting the shirt when it comes out? No, don't think so. It's that kind of thing. You're starting to become a bit dissociated with it, aren't you? Because of how it's being ran, for sure.
I mean, what I'll say to this is, I think obviously one thing is the money it takes to invest to go to every single game, right? That's obviously one aspect for it. But I think I think the way you should characterize this in terms of fans, right? Think about what you're doing right now. You're sitting on a Monday evening at 7 p.m. talking, or 8 p.m. talking, for me at very least, talking about Leicester City. You wouldn't be doing that. And all the time is really, our most valuable asset, right? And think about how much time, someone like Locks or someone like you for coming on the show at this time, where there's nothing going on with Leicester City, to talk about the club. Obviously you care. Obviously we have a stake in it. We've invested so much time and energy to follow every single minute detail of this and that. And, I can't afford to go to every single game. Last time I went there, I spent $1.5 grand, I think, to, everything combined, because it's a big thing. And last season, it wasn't easy to get tickets. It costs a lot, right? I'm a uni student. I can't afford that every week. So, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's about how much money you spend. And the people who say that are a bit delusional, because we do invest stuff in it. We invest our most valuable resource, the time we have on this earth. And just think about it, spending it right now, talking Leicester City, right?
Yeah. And I was going to say as well, Joe, on top of that, mate, just two examples. Number one, the Luke one. Luke gets up at 2 a.m. most weeks to come and do content. And talking about content, the only reason that fan channels, whether it's this one or other ones exist, is because people are passionate about talking about the club, right? And recently it's been more negatively than not. We've slagged the club off a lot, but we would much rather the club be in a situation where we're sat here on a Monday night talking about how amazing things are going. We would rather that, right? We would rather that, but we can't because it's not happening. So, fan channels sometimes get a bad rep, but it's only out of passion. That's all it's out of.
Of course it is, and you want your voice to be heard, but also it's the thing of you want to sort of generate the conversations when the club having them as well. You want to have the conversation points that the club are trying to veer away from or don't want to have. So that makes sense. And the other point I was going to make, because obviously I was talking about the fans, but a completely different point is I would just love, and bear in mind, I both love and hate this guy's opinions, right? I genuinely I love watching him on your channel, I would just love to have a 5-minute sit down with Manny.
I
I really would, just because there's so many times where I'm like, no, I get his point there, and then literally in the next breath, I'm like sort of chucking the remote of my TV or whatever I'm watching you on. Do you know what I mean? Just because I watched the Good Morning Foxes show yesterday, and he was really winding me up with some of his points. But then I do agree with a lot of what he says sometimes as well. So just very interesting how you have very different opinions on this show, and he's someone who I need to have a chat with for sure.
Yeah, the problem with Manny is he says something that everybody agrees with, and then his head gets too big, and then he starts waffling about a load of nonsense. That's the problem with Manny.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot. You've actually just reminded me, Joe, that I need to do something. So thank you, by the way. It'll make sense in a minute because you mentioned Manny's name. Right, Joe, I'm going to let you go, mate. We're doing a quick fire one today, but make sure you come back next Monday. And I'll say this for the 4th week in a row, Joe. 4th week in a row. Next Monday, maybe we can discuss Rude's sacking. Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. Emergency stream incoming, hopefully.
It will be if it happens. When it happens, it will be an emergency stream.
All right, thank you, guys.
Cheers, mate. All the best. All the best. The reason why Joe reminded me about something is because Manny said, make sure you remember this. And the reason I didn't do it at the very start was because my mic stopped working. Just a quick one. Because the only reason, by the way, before anybody says, why are you doing that? The only reason is because people have mentioned it in the past. But you can now visit a Blue Tinted Glasses website, BlueTintedGlasses.com. Literally that simple, BlueTintedGlasses.com. There is some bits and bobs on there, a Vardy t-shirt, a BTG t-shirt, whatever. There's also, if you are a fan of Manny, like Joe is, you can also get a Fast Twitch Fibers t-shirt, which is crazy.
Do we have the new one for Luke still? You can literally go on wearing Angry Luke on your shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to let you know, again, if you love Manny even more, any money that is raised will go to Manny's pocket. I'm not gonna
right into Manny's pocket. If you want to fund more rounds, buy his merchandise. That's all you'll say on this podcast.
I was gonna say I'm not gonna bullshit anyone and say, by the way, the proceeds of the Manny t-shirt are going to a great cause. They're going to Manny's pocket.
Yeah, I mean, we know we know he'll spend it on. Completely waffle, man. He'd probably build a statue of himself outside his house if he sells enough t-shirts.
But yeah, anyway, the website's there. There is also it's not just this. It's not just a store. There are other bits and bobs, and there will be when the season starts.
Out, mate.
Well, I was going to say, mate, when the season starts, we will actually be able to have a written format of a Nils analysis that will be taking place as well. So some people, if they want to read and screenshot and all of that, a Nils analysis, that will be there next season. But anyway, that's enough of a plug. Let's move over to the next caller. And on my list, I believe, I've lost my list, but I think it's Ross and then it's Charles. So let's get Ross in, say his name, and he appears. Here he is. What's going on, mate?
Good evening. How's everyone doing?
All good in the hood, mate. All good. What are you wearing? You look like a...
It's my custom shirt that my mum got me last year.
You look like you're about to enter a darts tournament.
Do you know what?
It looks like captain's armbands on the side as well with the Leicester City. I thought you had, an EFL captain's armband on or something.
I forgot which side it is there, look. So it's not even got the TikTok name
Russell
as well.
LCFC 1993.
Yeah. So I've had a double espresso, so...
Hold on, Ross.
Say his name and he appears. I believe it.
Rossi LCFC 1993.
I love the way you say your name, Russell LCFC 1993.
Do you know what? Every time that happens now, brilliant. So, well, what do you want to talk about? I mean, usually I come on. Well, obviously every time I come on, I was a bit of a laugh. But do you know what? I might drop a pipe bomb on the club, the state of the club.
Go on.
Obviously, ever since we won the Premier League, obviously we've always had high expectations since we won the top division. Mm-hmm. And obviously we've always tried to find either replacements or someone that's better than Jamie Vardy, and it's never happened. I mean, look at the strikers that we've bought. Ahmed Musa, absolutely shocking.
Good on FIFA.
Good on FIFA, yeah, I know. Good on FIFA, pork scratching in real life. Then you've got Islam Slimani, only good against Porto, the Dragon Slayer. Scored a beauty against Sheffield United from 2 yards out in the League Cup match. Who else have we had strikers? Kelechi Iheanacho, I mean, let's be honest, it took him 4 years to really break through, because he was absolutely shocking. One of the worst. He was awful at one point, and then in that COVID season, he just suddenly turned up. What else strikers have we had? Obviously Okazaki. Oh, that's my lasagna ping ready. But you know, but basically, you know, we've had. What else have we had? Okazaki. I can just hear the ping. But, you know, we've had the strikers and we've never had a replacement. I really feel that we're going to struggle in these next few years for a striker. Don't get me wrong, Jake Evans obviously 16, 17, but we cannot rely on a 17-year-old in the Championship, or no matter what division we're in. But this is our problem, you know. And it's the same with the goalkeeper situation. You know, obviously we've had Casper for years. We tried to get maybe a good number 2. So then for any reason that Casper did leave, then we'll be in safe hands. You know, we had Ben Harmer was not too bad, but awful against Porto. Wasn't great. Ron Robert Zieler was absolutely shocking. Jakupovic, whatever you call him, in about 2 games, conceded 5 at Wembley against Tottenham. And then, obviously, well, this takes the biscuit. Signing someone for £12 million, Liverpool must have been laughing all the way to the bank when we decided to offer £12 million for a guy that's played 52 times in 7 years. And just to make it clear, by the way, 28 was in 1 season. Just to make sure. Oh, yeah, Alex Smithers didn't do anything. When Schmeichel left, we were in panic mode. And what do? We give a goalkeeper that is absolutely shocking the number 1. We didn't go out and get a replacement. You know, obviously, we knew behind the scenes, if the club knew that Kasper Schmeichel was leaving, why didn't we say to Brendan or try and get a goalkeeper? I mean, I'm not saying we're going to get like a £10 million striker, goalkeeper or anything, but at least go out and find one.
Let me ask you a question, though. Let me ask you a question.
Let me say this. What I will say to this point is, I think it's fair enough to say you had 2 loyal servants, one from your academy and one you spent quite big on, say, okay, we think you are ready, because they thought they were. Let's give them the chance. But it was talked up to be this, they'll battle for the number 1 spot and compete with each other. But regardless of how bad Danny Ward was, it took, 25 games for Daniel Iversen to come in, who, yes, he was by no means great, but he was at the very least able to save the ball. He was horrible with his feet. But, like, the fact that they didn't try that out in the first half of the season, realized in January, this ain't working, they aren't good enough, and got in someone else then, it's disturbing. It's disturbing.
And I was going to say something similar, Doc, in the sense that, Ross, were you in August 2022... Did you know for a fact Danny Ward wasn't good enough? Because I didn't. I thought it was probably fair to let him start the season, because the appearances that he had made previously for the club, whether it was in a cup or whatever, he did quite well. He did okay, and I think, but I will agree, it did become clear very quickly that he was a bag of shit, and they should have got somebody in January. But I'm saying about starting that season, I don't think it was like, all hands on deck, we need a keeper right now. I don't think that was what the situation was at that point.
I think the thing is as well, obviously we had Daniel Iversen, you know, who eventually came. Thing is, what with Brendan, this is what annoyed me about Brendan. It took him 26 games to realise that he is a bag of shit. You know, I mean, the games that he had, the one that really was literally one of the worst games ever, and it always gets clipped on Twitter, is the game against Brighton.
Yes.
I was there.
Game.
Bearing in mind, Mr. Ducky Quack, right? Bearing in mind, that weekend I was in Wales watching Clash at the Castle. I got back at 3 o'clock in the morning, back to Leicester. 3 hours later, the people at Taken us decided to pick us up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I was already shattered as it was. Honestly, I was so tired. I went to Brighton Pier. I went down with Mr. Whistle, who I went down with. And we go 1-0 up after 1 minute. Perfect. I thought, this is awesome. And then that performance is honestly, it's awful. That game was for what put Iversen and then the goal then. Because we lost 6 in a row.
Centre back and all the, like, he was so weird about it, Rud, as well, because then Kakla Soyuncu all of a sudden was just the worst football player in his mind and never got a game up until he then randomly started in the Man
This is
City.
the thing. This is where I'm coming onto me other things about this.
By the way,
So-
was that the game where him and Ndidi nearly like started scrapping?
Yeah. So Danny Ward does a horrendous kick and everything. They nearly scored. You hear him having a go at Ndidi. I thought, what's Ndidi done? That's honestly, it really grinds my gears. And then obviously we lost 6 in a row. So you thought by now, Brent, you think, oh, okay, maybe he's not the goalkeeper that I maybe thought when I replaced him to put him with Everson. And Everson came in, obviously we didn't stay up, but at least he was shot stopping. It was keeping us in games. We didn't concede as many goals. That's the goalkeeping situation. Same with midfielders. Now, for years, obviously you two are both younger than me because I'm an old fart. So when we lost
How
Muzzy,
old are you, Ross?
I'm 31, unfortunately. So
is that
closing name 1993. Cheeky bastard. Should have stayed muted. But no. So when we lost Muzzy, in 2004, we didn't get a really good replacement for a good 5-6 years until Andy King stepped up. And that was what, 2008, so 4 years. Until Andy King stepped up, worked his way through, worked his bollocks off to go from League One to Championship to Premier League, the only man to win the top 3 divisions in English football with the same club. And I've got the feeling it's going to be the same again in regards to strikers. Doesn't matter who we get. I mean, obviously, someone said in the comments, Edward. Never really got a chance, but I'd love to be his agent. 90 grand a week for playing like a masterclass against Walsall. Fantastic. But the problem is the board is very incompetent in regards to making decisions. Because the problem is you're giving out ridiculous contracts money. It's not the players. It's not all down to the players. It's all down to the agents. The agents make the money. The agents go in and make them like absolute worldies. You think, oh, this guy's amazing. Let's get him 80 grand a week. Fantastic. They go and sit on the bench. Danny Ward's was stealing away since 2018. I said this last year and I'll say it again. Thank fuck he's going. And on you watch, he'll turn up against Wrexham. He'll turn up against us again with Wrexham. That's where he's probably most likely going. But we ain't going to get a replacement for Vardy for a while. So we just need to accept the fact that it's going to take a couple of years to find someone. Maybe we could dip into non-league again. People always, why we get Josh Sargent, or why don't we get this player or this player? Why don't we have a dip in back where we started? Nigel Pearson was best at that. A lot of people didn't like Nigel Pearson for what he was. Tough shit. Nigel Pearson is what Steve Bracknell is right now. Just don't give a shit. Right? Now, people that don't know who Steve Bracknell is, he's from Sheffield. Nigel Pearson took no crap. Okay? He brought in Jamie Vardy. Yeah, everyone's, he's a crazy bastard for bringing in a £1 million striker. Now we all love him. He brought in Riyad Mahrez from French League 2. Oh, you're a crazy bastard. Now look at him. One of the greatest wingers that we've ever had at that club. The way he left, whether we like it or not, was fantastic. He brought in Sven brought in Casper. Thank you, Sven. So you've got to understand that it's going to take time. Exactly. Dip into League 1 and 2.
Richard Kone.
I tell you one player that I like to see, and it's funny. I actually served him a few months ago at my shop I work at, and he's a player at Doncaster Rovers, and he actually got League 2 Player of the Season. League 2 Player of the Season. He's called Luke Molyneux. He's a winger for Doncaster Rovers, and I've seen him play as well. Not just because I served him, I've seen him play.
He's 27, playing at Doncaster. He's 27.
27 at Doncaster, mate.
Didn't we buy? I swear we bought Jamie Vardy at 25 years old. He was only 2 years younger, and he was in a lower league.
He was scoring more goals, that's for sure.
Yeah, but come on, let's be honest. Molyneux's a winger, but the state of this club at the moment, we're just going to have to grind our teeth. Obviously, that assistant manager's gone to Cardiff today. I mean, to be honest, do we care? Do we honestly? Do we suddenly we all are experts in knowing who this guy is? Let's be honest. He's gone to Cardiff. Hope he does okay. But reality is, Ruud van Nistelrooy is still our manager until further notice. He's going to be our manager, and I hope he isn't. And maybe that is the case. I don't know. But the problem is with our club at the moment, we're all seeing Rudkin out and all this stuff, and But the problem is, if we do get rid of him, at least get him off the director of football. at least. But the problem is, Top's not going to do that. He's not got a backbone like his dad. So yes, we can say.
I was going to say, Doc. Go on, Doc. What were you going to say?
Yeah,
mate?
I will just say, I think the writing is on the wall with Ruud now, because you don't lose your assistant manager and then don't communicate out that there's a process beginning to find the replacement to add to Ruud van Nistelrooy's team. The public statement was 2 sentences long. Thank you, best of luck, goodbye. Genuinely, but basically half of the words that were typed down there. And I think it's very clear that something is going on behind the scenes, right? And I believe that Ruud, he won't be here.
Do you know the worst part is? We've said more happy birthday posts than about relegation, which we have.
Mate.
You know, am I going to get a post for my birthday when it comes up?
Do you remember Brenda Now? Happy birthday, Brenda Now. That was funny.
Right,
Ross, I'm going to let you go, mate. I'm going to let you go.
I'm eating lasagna. I'm starving.
Go, yeah, go and eat your lasagna.
Enjoy the lasagna, mate.
Cheers, Ducky.
Yes, mate. Don't drop it. All right, mate.
Oh, well.
All the best, Ross. See you very soon. All right. Okay, this is the order. We are now. That's the cut off. By the way, you'll have if nobody's called in yet, then that's going to be it. Call in next week instead. We've got up next Charles from the Dallas Foxes. What's going on, my friend?
Hey guys, how you doing? You all right?
Doing, Charles?
Good. Hey, so somebody likes Danny Ward. He got married yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. I saw that. Yeah, and a lot of the old Leicester players were there.
I saw Hamza was there. He's got to keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah, JJ, James Maddison, and Harvey Barnes. I saw a picture of those.
I didn't see ND though. Maybe after their scrap when he played defense. I don't think he'll be there soon.
No.
Hamza, I think Hamza. Should I say this? Fuck it. Hamza should probably followed them back to the honeymoon quarters after the party. That's all I'll say. Wouldn't surprise me knowing them lot.
What?
What?
Danny,
whoa.
You've lost us. You've lost us.
How have I lost you?
You've lost us.
Luke was here last week. He got it. Anyway, no, there was a very infamous clip that went round of Danny Ward. No, sorry, Hamza Chowdhury getting very, very close with Danny Ward's wife at a party. Yeah, that's all I'll say. Anyway, this was a while ago. This was like 4 years.
Leicester City, mate. Leicester City.
Yeah, there we go.
Go on, Charles. Talk to us. What's going on in your Leicester City world at the minute? What's bothering you? What's making you happy?
I'm wearing my British and Irish Lions sword.
Nice.
What a crest, by the way. Very traditional.
Yeah, there you go. So that's just going to start watching that from next week. They're playing in Australia, so it should be fun. It's a weird.
What about the time zones? Yeah, that must be horrible.
Yeah, 14 hours to where Luke is, and I think it's 16 hours. And then they go East Coast, so it's 16, 17 hours difference ahead. Not good. Okay, Stelarczyk bid by Norwich was interesting.
Yeah. Strange.
And
very strange.
And, you know, I have an allegiance to Norwich because I was there so long. So I watched a lot of their pods, and they were saying, you know, they don't actually bid without any feedback. And I thought, okay, I'm sure they did. You know, like there was a rumor or something, so they put in a bid. But I think it was just a bid, and they turned it down straight away. And they need to, because obviously Mads is going. But yeah, it was just a strange one. They're after 2 or 3 goalkeepers there, but it was, you know, glad they turned it down.
In my mind, it could be maybe a club that smelling blood a little bit. Like, you know, they know Leicester have come down. They know there's PSR problems. They know they need to sell. And Norwich have thought, fuck it, why not? Let's stick a bid in there. Yeah. Who knows, you know, what might happen. Although, you know, us as Leicester fans know that we have faith that he will be our number one next season. But Norwich might not know that, and they've tried a cheeky one. So, or like you say, maybe it's known within the football club space that Leicester are looking for another goalkeeper. You know, we just don't know these things. You know, we don't know. But it did it surprise you, Duck? It surprised me a little bit. It came out of the blue.
Yeah, it did very much come out of the blue, right? I think it was a bit of a shock, especially as, I mean, he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet we all make right now, right? About imaginary Leicester lineups for next season and who do we want, because we all think he's good enough to play in the Championship. He's done well in the Premier League, I want to say, with the chance being given, and he's from our own academy. What's not to love about that, right? So I think he's going to be here, and I'm excited to see more of him. I want to hear from you, though, Charles, because it seems like something is going on behind the scenes, right? Tinfoil hat on, sponsor being removed from the website, a surprisingly short statement today about a manager or a coach leaving. I'm talking 2 lines. and and now some change in the ownership of King Power Group as well. And what do you think is going on behind the scenes right now?
I don't know. It's a mess. And on another note, we can't buy merch.
Oh, you guys can't buy merch? Oh yeah, I saw that as well. That's crazy.
For like 2 months now. It's saying temporarily unavailable, blah blah. So I don't know whether they've been hacked or what is that about. Because I was waiting for a sale, and I thought, is it just the US or is it non-UK? But I've been trying just to see, even if there's a sale on or anything.
Well, Charles, there is merch you can buy.
crazy call out. Regardless,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Our website works. Our website works fine.
Get money, I gotta get my money out.
I'll tell you, Charles, though, that I had the same problem happen in Denmark like a month ago or something. When Vardy first announced he was leaving, I wanted to, I needed a Vardy jersey before he stopped at the club, and then luckily I now managed to pick one up at a sale because it's opened back up in Denmark. But there was no communication about it. Like it was very much just open the shop one day. You're like, I can't go in. I hope they fix it. But that's
from Craig.
That's crazy, especially because there is a good sale going on right now, right? They want to get rid of any single shirt that reminds anyone of this disastrous season. Want to get them out of storage.
Mate, I said this back in January. They did a sale and it was like 10% off. I was like, don't do it because there will be the relegation sale at the end of the season. And I think Craig is here commenting when clicking on shop on the Leicester website, it was redirected to BTG merch. But what do you think to the sponsor though, the BC game? Because there was a lot made of that last year, Charles. As we know, the gambling sponsors do pay the most money in football. That's just how it is, and that would have been the club's reasoning. But we've learned in recent months that they are very dodgy, and they've got actors performing as the CEOs and stuff like this. And
I don't know who did the quality control on that. I think they just looked at the numbers. Susan Whelan or whatever just said, okay, you're paying this, yes, we'll take it. Now I don't know whether it's all up front or whether it's half now and then they're not going to renew, but then you can sue. It depends what sort of contract they signed, but how it. But it wasn't the best pick, and I didn't like anything about the logo or the name or what they stood for. So, but obviously we needed the money, and they paid more than King Power. So, or the other one, FS, whatever it was. Yeah, but it's all a bit weird. It's like chicken and egg, really, about what is going to go on with the club because we don't know about Van Nistelrooy. We don't, so we can't. Do we sign players? Are we selling players? Who's making the decision if we sell a player? It's just a mess.
So we're hearing rumours about Mavididi and Samare and
there's always going to be rumours, and things. But we're not hearing anybody we're going to buy, but we need to buy somebody pretty quick because if they, if they come in with a transfer embargo, hopefully they won't. Hopefully it'll be just points, but I don't even want points. I don't know. So it's
there
hard
is one
to
today,
somebody.
Charles. There's one today in the last hour. Leicester City are weighing up a move for Leeds United striker Sam Greenwood, who has 1 year left on his contract at Ellen Road. Let me just tell you one thing now. You don't need to look into any stats. He's a bum. He's terrible. He's awful. And that would be, I'd rather Patson Daka up front, genuinely. Is
that from Just Joe? Just Joe's comment?
He tagged me in it. Yeah, no, he tagged me in it. But so it is the Mail. It's unreliable, but I mean, it just shows how the mighty have fallen that we're linked with a player like that.
And actually, I was on the Middlesbrough website, a podcast the other day. I float around quite a bit, and Kelly Iheanacho went to Middlesbrough on loan. In January. I'd forgotten about that, and their comment was he was unfit. And he didn't seem interested. So it just sums up. I think he probably carried on his the way he works into the Middlesbrough. But they took him on loan, and that was the reason why one of the reasons Carrick got fired is that in January he was pushing for Iheanacho to be signed, and they wanted quite a lot of money for him. And he said, "I don't want any more loans," because that was like a couple of seasons ago, and it all fell apart. I want to buy this player. And he turned up and he was shit, absolute shit. So that's what led to, the manager getting fired. One of the reasons. So they don't trust him with the money or any money.
That doesn't surprise me with Kelechi Iheanacho. Look, I kind of liked him. I liked his personality.
He
and
had
obviously
that
this
one
season.
period during the COVID season. That was when I really started watching every single game because I didn't watch too much football before that. Daniel
back.
always
back.
makes his way back. It's crazy. It's crazy. But no, I mean that period of time, right? It was special. We were, the FA Cup season. We were dreaming of top 4. Kelechi Iheanacho won Player of the Month, and he was special for that little while. And yeah, he completely disappeared last championship season because he started actually quite a few games in the beginning, and then towards like the middle of the season, Patson Daka and Vardy started sharing the game time, and Kelechi Iheanacho was, essentially nowhere to be seen, right, until he just ran out his contract.
Yeah, but they're playing. They're playing on the right a bit more than on the wing. I think more than in the center. I think I don't know. I don't know whether he had a fair crack at it, but I guess he did. But there were bits. But yeah, another one we overpaid for, and potential was there when we got him from Man City. Don't forget he was one of their stars when we got him.
He was, he was predicted, right, to be a great player. And I think he's someone who's at the very least paid off a bit of his worth, right? Because he did have periods of time where he was really good. Missed the FA Cup, crucial in the FA Cup win, the goal against Southampton. So, I mean, even if it ended on a sour note with him just kind of leaving out the back door, he did, recoup, I want to say, some of the money we put into him. Although it would have been nice to at the very least get some money back at the end of the day. A bit like Tielemans, right? We paid so much for him. Yes, he got the FA Cup winning goal, but seeing him just walk out the back door on a free, that's still not nice.
And we shouldn't be losing players for nothing. I mean, that Tielemans one, we knew he was going to go, but I don't know whether anybody bid for him in January before he left.
No one bid for him because they knew that his contract was expiring and they knew he wasn't signing a new one.
So to offer like 10 million or something, and get to the head of the queue, because I think there was a queue before he went to Villa. But I'm hearing Villa are in trouble now financially or something. They're going to be hit.
Well, this is what happens, mate. When you try and compete with the big clubs, you run out of room, of leeway with PSR, and you end up getting caught. We've been there, and other clubs will be too.
Yeah,
not fit for purpose. These rules.
Yeah, are you watching the football, the Club World Cup over here?
No, I'm not.
I've watched a bit of a single
boycotting
game.
all this crap.
Doc's going to watch it because Chelsea are in it.
Actually not. I watched a bit of the Bayern game because I saw on TikTok one of the players from Auckland City, the New Zealand team, was like, we're it's really weird to be, professional for a period of time, right? Because they're semi-pros. And I was like, I had to see that. And then when they were 4-0 down, I was like, okay, that's enough. I feel bad for those poor guys. And then I closed down the stream, and that's what.
Did you see? What was it? 10-0. Did you see? Michael Elise was asked, "Did you feel sorry for them in the end?" And he was like, "No, no, it's my job." He was like, it's his job, isn't it? Come up and slap someone up.
It is. Yeah, it's a waste of time anyway. So,
right, Charles. I'm gonna let you go, mate. I'll tell you what, Charles. What's the weather over there, mate? 'Cause it is fucking boiling over here. It's horrible.
Boiling, yeah. It's hot over here. It's cranking up. We've had some storms, which is a bit weird. A lot of rain for some reason. Usually it's like blazingly hot in June, but we've had a lot of rain, a lot of flooding, which is a bit weird.
You seen
don't get me on climate warning. Dallas.
You seen any bombers flying overhead?
Yeah, I saw the I don't get political, but all the Trump rallies or anti-Trump rallies and stuff like that. No king, what do they call it?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's more going on the just if you're getting bored of the lack of news of Leicester, just turn the news on. That'll there we go.
Well, hopefully next time, hopefully Van Nistelrooy goes. I'm switching gears here. But I don't want him for next season. He scares the life out of me, to tell the truth, but I got a feeling he's going to be around. Unless we hear something on June 30 or July 1, if we still haven't heard anything on that day,
gone.
He's dead. I hope he has. I mean,
he has to be. He has to be. I'll say this shortly, Josh, before we move on. But I've never seen a statement this short. And the statement of Brian Barry Murphy leaving, his assistant manager is the 46-year-old joined the football club in December as part of the coaching staff for men's first team and leaves with the best wishes of everyone at Leicester City for his future career. That's it. That is the weirdest statement for an assistant manager leaving I've ever seen. There is no mention of Root. There is no mention of the process for finding a replacement to add to the first team. There is nothing about what this means for the first team coaching staff. And when that isn't there, because you'd see that at other clubs, when assistant managers leave or take up a first team coach, that the process will now begin to find his replacement to add to, whoever staff, right? This, to me, this statement is so weird that this has made me convinced that Root is gone. He's certainly gone. I can't see him staying.
And to me, it seems like, reading between the lines, he's had a falling out with Van Nistelrooy, I guess.
Because it's reading between the line. There is simply only that one line.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently he fell out
they
with the
didn't say
players.
he's been poached. They came in, Cardiff came in and offered him a great opportunity and he took it. Sounds like he's applied for the job. That's what Yeah,
he sounded very happy to go, right? Hope you pennies for him. I think that's a nice thing, though.
Yeah, more than I'm happy at Leicester and they came in with a good thing. It sounded like I'm out of here. So
but there is no interview with him as well, right? Today, Brentford, one of their assistant managers under Thomas Frank, who didn't go with them to Tottenham, he left after 3 years, and there was this statement from the CEO of, in the 3 years he's been here, he's done this and that, and from the coach as well, he was like, yeah, it's been really good, and I'm happy with the culture we've created, and all of this, right? And then obviously, they were looking for that first head coach, so that was the priority. But like it was a very long write-up about the assistant manager leaving. It's 2 lines. No mention of Root, no mention of the process that begins because of this. We've gotten a bit of money, and that's good, because when we then sack Root and his backroom staff, we won't be having to pay him off. We've instead been paid off for him, which is, really nice. Every penny counts. But it's the weirdest statement I've seen from a football club when your assistant manager leaves.
Right,
Weird.
right, yeah.
I agree.
Ipswich lost their number 2 last week, went to Huddersfield. Did you get that? That was a big one. So we'll see how he gets on now, because their manager might go to Brentford. You never know. So
I'd love that. I'd love if he went to Brentford.
Yeah, and of course that thing about Sheffield United about Wilder losing his job. You've seen that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Rumors.
It's crazy.
That's a weird one. I'm just looking at competition. It all seems to be like Ipswich are in a bit of trouble.
They'll be looking for our. They'll be in the same market as us.
They've been looking for Ruben Sellers, which is really. They've been looking for Ruben Sellers, which is interesting. And the thing is, I just want the clubs around us to be in as much chaos as possible. And not Sheffield United, Southampton, they've got their coach on lock. They're doing things well. They'll be challenging. But if Ipswich lose their manager to Brentford, I really want that. All of a sudden, their magic maker, right? That's the hero there, gone.
Right.
Chris Wilder, unstability around Sheffield United again would be brilliant. Ruben Sells, former assistant manager at Copenhagen, I don't think he's cut off for a top side championship job yet. Although I think he does have potential. I want chaos. I want it to be late. I want there to be confusion. I want them to be in the same boat as us, right? Because we are fucking up. We need the other club to fuck up just as much.
Can't be as bad as us with production hanging over us. We don't know whether we've got a manager or not. It's like chaos. But anyway,
it's nuts. It's not. Well, hopefully next week we'll know more.
Yeah.
Charles, thank you, mate.
Charles.
Thank you so
Enjoyed
much.
it.
We'll see you very soon, mate. All the best. Okay. I was just having a look because I saw a comment in the chat about the odds of Gary Neal from Planet Earth. I'm just looking here. He's currently at, if I'm not mistaken, 10-1. 10-1 Gary Neal. So it's still 4-6. Danny Roll, 13-8. Sean Dyche, 4-1 Michael Carrick. Although this is outdated actually because Russell Martin's on air, so that's bullshit. Anyway, okay. Let's move on. Up next is Ryan. We're going to go Ryan and then we're going to go Mark. So Ryan is up next. Hello, mate. What's going on?
Hello, guys. I'm all good. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah, doing good. I mean, nice to have a bit of news, right? I still think so much about that statement about Brian Barry Murphy. Like there has to be so much brewing behind the scenes with these little tidbits, a changing King Power, BC game gone from the sponsor. I don't know what I'm expecting, but I'm kind of hoping, we one day wake up and it's like, Christmas, right? Where it's just, there's this breaking news, new sponsor, new shirt, new manager. We've signed this player. I don't know what I'm expecting, but I feel like we are on the verge of, the floodgates opening, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that seems like where we're heading in this moment in time. But I just go back to the statement that was put out on the website about Barry Murphy. There was just nothing about saying thanks for your efforts and that kind of thing. There was none of that.
It's two lines.
That is 2 or 3 paragraphs. It's the worst statement I've ever seen, really.
Terrible.
Really poor.
Terrible. Does that give you more? Does that make you think, Ryan, that he will go, or now that because obviously he's gone. The keeper coach, what's his name? I don't even want to try and say his name. He's linked with Brighton, like as in a new job at Brighton.
Woolalot, I think his name is.
Whatever his bloody name is, yeah. They seem to be getting poached, and maybe the club are just letting this happen and get a bit of compensation here and there, and then they'll sack Rude at the end of it.
Yeah,
compensation is nice.
Compensation to let Rude go. I think it's just a matter of time before they do it. Probably, I'd say, when the new accounting period starts, most likely, which I think will be an ultimate disaster because that affects pre-season.
I think it does too.
It will. We don't have a magic date of the 1st of July. We can spend as much as we want again. That's not a thing. We'll still be pressured, especially because the cap we're allowed to lose will be less, right? Because when you're in the Championship, we can only lose £13 million a year compared to the 35 in the Premier League. So, like the cap will be lower for what we can lose over the past 3-year period. So we'll still be like right near the ceiling. We have to sell players regardless. And I don't get why you're not just sacking him now, getting ahead of things, and then looking to raise some money before the 30th in terms of player sales, right? Sack Rude, sell about Fast. We'll all be happy with both of those decisions, and we'd be net positive in the PSR department because not Fast would sell for 8 million or whatever, and Rude I think cost a few million to get off the books.
Yeah, it certainly will.
Why? Go on, Ryan. Let's get into it, mate. Why'd you disagree with me on this bomb? I think he's a bomb.
Don't get me started on that. Come on.
Is he a bomb, Ryan?
Why is he a bomb?
Is he good, Ryan? I haven't seen much of it.
What has he done other than scored a free kick against Leicester? That's all he's done. He's terrible. He's crap.
He's got a free kick against us.
Yeah, for Middlesbrough last season. Yeah.
Oh yeah, in that game, that 1-0 game.
Yes, I do remember that. Yes, he did. But
but
you can't write him off that early or anything like that. You don't know. We could sign him. Who knows? But that's just the market we're in at the minute. Unfortunately, if we end up being forced to say like sign Sam Greenwood, for example, I'm not saying we will, but that's just the reality. Unfortunately.
But that's more my point, I think, Ryan. I'm kind of thinking like it is sad. That's where we've fallen to. Like we're looking at players like Sam Greenwood, and of course, if he comes in, then we're gonna have to try and we'll have to get behind him. But like Daka is better than Sam Greenwood as a striker, Ryan. Daka is better. Daka is a better striker than Sam Greenwood. Yeah, yeah. I refuse to believe otherwise. Like that is, I think Patson Daka is better than Sam Greenwood, and that's
so
that,
you
that
pick
me...
someone that falls on his arse than someone.
Well, who scored more goals? Who scored more goals last season in the Championship? Who scored more? Daka. He's.
What I will say about this transfer that I really don't like, just shortly, is the fact that last week I mentioned like a few free agents, right? Who are proven Championship. They're not going to be revelations to us. But that might be what we need to fill out the squad with some, quality depth. But if we don't have much money to spend, I imagine, in the transfer window, and if we spend some of the small amount of money we have on someone who's not going to, blow our socks off, like the pennies we have needs to be spent on the big signings, right? On the key signings, on the key striker, on the key attacking midfielder if Wenel Canush leaves, right? These few positions, we need to spend wisely on those where we really need to strengthen. I don't want us to spend like a few million on a guy with 1 year left on his deal who's, looks very mid by the looks of things, when we could get someone on a free who's proven to do, just as good, if not a better job, and then spend the money on the star signing, right?
And make sure we put a proper wage on it. Don't go over the odds.
Oh, he'll give him $100,000 a week, man.
Don't go over the odds.
Sam Greenwood, 6 years, mate. No, 6 years. Ryan, we both know, don't we, Ryan? Richard Kone, he's who we need to get, right?
Yeah, I would take him all day, 100%. He's one of my main targets. I think we should go and get as a replacement.
Richard Kone over Sam Greenwood. I keep talking about Sam Greenwood. I'm trying to reverse jinx it. Just talk about it enough, and it will never happen.
Just like Russell Martin. Just like Russell Martin. Talking up about Russell Martin, and it didn't happen. Nah. I mean, I don't think Sam Greenwood will come in. It's the
No.
first rumor. If we see
The
a few more
old way, I
tweets
don't
about it,
want Sam
maybe I'll
Greenwood
start
either.
panicking a bit, right?
So,
And it would be so
Don't worry.
typical. We pay like 5 million quid or something for him with 1 year left on his deal when he's bad. Like it would be so typical. Like, we'll see though. I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I'm actually feeling quite positive, right? In terms of the fact that I feel so confident. Not
good lord.
I'm joking.
but I feel positive about the fact that we will have some news soon, and it will be good news because it will be Ruud being sacked and the manager for next season. I feel positive that those will happen quite soon. If it's Daesh, we could go back to being depressed. But I'm positive about the fact that we'll get those news within, a relative short time span. Or maybe I could be dead wrong. But that statement, it leaves so much more to be decided, and we have to know more soon.
It's going to be Daesh, isn't it? It's going to be Daesh.
Laws, can I just mention for a minute about Gerd Struber? You know the head coach that I was saying about a few weeks ago when I came on? He's now on the verge of being the next Bristol City manager. I mean,
that guy, yeah. The guy
Lord.
from the Red Bull school, right?
Why is this guy not on the top list of our candidates? God. He is so good. And
I mean, a lot of people are saying
Bristol
that
City.
they're saying he's a good pull. It's a good pull for Bristol City. Obviously, they lost Manning, right?
Yeah. I think they've got really good coach coming in, I really do. See, that's a club that's being more ambitious than we are. That's how sad it is.
We've lost that on a lot of I say targets. We've lost that on a few different options. We
lost our Wilson Martin,
if you want to call it that, yeah. If you want to call it
did.
That. But like, if we're not careful, Roll's going to be gone. But then I've got this feeling it's going to be Daesh.
There's a
so
danger
Roll's
that
irrelevant.
Danny Roll is going to be missed out because he's keen on Bundesliga.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this last question, Ryan. What do you make to all this Danny Roll being interviewed for all these different jobs and never getting offered it? What does that
He was
tell you?
never in contention for the Wolfsburg job. I'll tell you that much.
He spoke to them, right?
No, he did not, because when that rumor first came out, Wolfsburg had decided on their manager. That had been reported a few days before that they're signing the go-ahead Eagles manager. It's a rubbish rumor. It's agent spinning.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. But anyways, just before I go, I've got this special stream that I'm going to be doing on Wednesday, and that is my version of scouting reports.
Ooh. You've been digging deep, finding hidden gems.
Yep, for every position, from goalkeeper to striker.
Nice. What time is that? Wednesday. What time?
I'm not quite decided on that yet, but my plan is on 9 o'clock or something like that.
Okay.
It's today, right? It's also 2 years to the day we signed Enzo Maresca, and we've talked a bit about the period between sacking a manager and hiring the next one. How long it takes because we've waited 50 days now. Reminder that when we were last relegated, we didn't know until middle of May, end of May, because we were battling until the very last day, right? So focus wasn't on the replacement, focus was on staying in the league. We've still managed then to find a manager before we have this season, despite being promoted a month before that. It's crazy.
And also, what we had at that time, the last time we got relegated, at least we had a little bit of clarity back then. That's the last time
we had a statement, right? We had, the internal review.
Exactly. We had a statement that came out, whereas this time around, there's absolutely nothing.
Hey, mate, I agree that it's shocking, and we keep talking about it, but it's like people always say, "Oh, why are you talking about it again?" Because it's literally all we could talk about. The club are refusing to pull their fingers out of their fat asses and say anything. So, but yeah, anyway, right. I'm going to let you go. Put when you decide what time and stuff on Wednesday, tweet it, mate. I'll retweet it, let people so people can take a look at it and see.
Yeah, hopefully someone at the club sees, man. We need better links than Sam Greenwood. If you have him on your list, Ryan, we're not retweeting. But
Ryan clearly has some good picks because he also went for Richard Kone. So
Ryan,
I'm gonna let you go, mate. See you in a bit, Ryan. Cheers, mate. All the best. Take care. Right, last caller of the night is Mark. Let's get him in. Sorry, just before we do, actually, quick comment here. Is this a no-brainer for you, Doug? Hypothetically, say it was Dyche. If the footy was crap, but he gets you promoted and then survives 1 year back in the Premier League, would you be happy?
I would accept it if he also took care of the academy. Because, like, to me, he could get us back in the Prem for 1 year. But if, Monga is left because he's not getting any game time, Jake Evans was like, no, I'm not signing because I've been told I'm not wanted. Jakub Stelasic will be replaced or whatever, right? Ben Nelson is not, if all of these things don't happen, I wouldn't be satisfied. But otherwise, yes, if he got results every week and he still played the youngsters, I would accept it. I'd be happy with it.
Mark, it was a month ago that we had you on the channel on Fox's Den, and we were like, it's going to happen soon. It's going to happen soon. It's
not happening, is it?
What's going on? How are you, mate, first of all?
Good, buddy. How are you? Hey, Doug.
Good.
Nothing's going to happen now, is it? I'm looking forward to 2 weeks from today, D-Day, June 30th. We'll all be on here thinking, right, tomorrow's...
We'll be drinking champagne.
What's going to happen tomorrow? Nothing can happen now between now. It would make no sense for... Well, hey, let's...
It's Leicester City. If it makes no sense, I think the chances of us doing it are higher.
I was going to say, that's why I just thought, I'm like, actually, hang on a sec. No, I can't see it now. They've wasted all this time. I think they're getting all the ducks in a row, so to speak. The Barry Murphy going, Yele going.
I want to hear your opinion on that as well, Mark. The statement they put out, after the first initial paragraph of the fact they agreed compensation, it is 2 lines.
Short and sweet.
It is remarkably short. It isn't just, he's been here a short while, but he's done this, and we're starting the process for this, or we're looking for someone else to Ruud's backroom team. It's just confirmation. He's gone. Goodbye. Nothing else. It's so weird.
Let's keep this communication as concise as possible. Get it out there. Done. Right?
Genuinely feel like they weren't aware until 5 minutes until they had to post it, and they just had to write, Brian Barry Murphy's gone. Wish you best of luck. Goodbye. It is essentially that, and it just feels so weird. I'm certain, and even more so after that they are doing something behind the scenes, and just no one's gotten word of it yet, because there has to be something going on. You don't put out a statement like that. Like there's something wrong, or something happening at the very least.
And a potential transfer embargo maybe
hasn't happened yet. I keep checking the EFL website though.
Well, let me read you something I found the other day. So the scenario is a club is under an embargo in relation to a profitability and sustainability rule breach. Is there any circumstances under which that club can register players? And the answer to that is each individual case will be determined by the EFL through considerations. Though considerations will be given in the circumstances of the club having less than 24 players and needing a goalkeeper. So basically what they're saying there is going to be, it will be very strict if we do
Didn't they say something about youth as well, like if it was from the academy? So maybe we could still sign together.
Yeah, because the transfer embargo is actually a registration embargo. So so we'll be still able to register any players from the academy, all of that good stuff. Also new contracts. You can give new contracts for players that are already at the club. But yeah, it's going to be strict with regards to bringing players in. So that's a worry mark.
Is that something that they'd have to, with an embargo, that's something they'd have to put in place before the season, as opposed to like points deduction could come November, December, right?
If we're getting an embargo, I would imagine. I mean, last time they gave it to us in March.
But also because they weren't allowed to do it before that, right? They tried to come at us around December time because we didn't quite send in our predicted accounts, and they tried to say our Premier League season is when we should have predicted a fall breach, and it's a complicated case. But I'm pretty certain it would be like around the transfer windows they do it, and really before the transfer window gets into place. You can keep check on the EFL website. They have an embargoes list, and it's currently only Sheffield Wednesday there. But if you look at like the teams, they have like all the logos at the bottom of the page. It's still Leeds and Burnley still there. So like I feel like when I see Leicester on that, and I check the embargoes and we aren't there, I feel good that we aren't being hit.
Just a quick one as well, because again, these are interesting questions. I think this isn't something you can do either. Like I would imagine the club are already aware whether they're going to be getting an embargo. And if they are aware that they're getting one and they go and sign a player now, I don't think they'll just be able to register. You know what I mean? I don't think that's how it works. But who knows, Planet? We don't know the ins and outs. So I'm just guessing here.
You know what I did find interesting was, and again, we're speculating on, no communication. Everyone, rightly so, assumes nothing's taking place behind the scenes, right? But for all of the youngsters to have signed and committed to contracts, and and kudos to the club on that. They've gone and taken care of that, got that addressed, which was, if not the most important thing right now. For these youngsters, do you think it really matters to them and their agents and their family and their advisors on who the next manager is going to be? Or they're at that age, at the stage, they're so young, hey, it's a great deal, let's just sign. It's irrelevant to me, meaning the player.
My best guess is they've probably gotten like a guarantee from the club that regardless of what happens with manager, you will be involved in the first team squad. You will get first team minutes to some extent, right? I don't know if it's like you'll be in the squad every week but I think they've been given some guarantee, and the club will definitely make sure that I think someone like Jeremy Monga is getting game time under whoever it is, right? If it's Sean Dyche, if it's not Ross Martin since he's gone to, but theoretically, right, whoever manager it will be, I'm pretty confident he will feature at the very least like 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, because that's the reason he signed, and that was the way they got the deal done.
Right.
Yeah. What do you make to just finally, Mark, what do you make to the Mavididi rumours? Because I think I was saying to Doc earlier on the video that we did that, like, when we were relegated, it's not the first name that come to mind, really, that you worry about. Like, you think of Bilal and Hermanson and the others, but you didn't really think of Mavididi. But, when you think about it, really, he had a great season last season in the Championship. He is a Championship quality player. Like, he is, you could argue, too good for that league. And we could lose him. We could lose him this summer if one of these European teams come in. Although he did say last year when he signed that he didn't want to, or 2 years ago, that he didn't want to keep moving about. He wanted to settle down somewhere. He has family in the East Midlands. So maybe he won't be keen to leave. But if a big club comes calling and they offer him a nice paycheck, he's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because we all know the Championship is... I feel he falls just between. He's a top end Championship player. We've seen that. We know his numbers show that. Premier League, he flatters just to deceive. Was he given a fair shot in a number of games in the Premier League? I don't know. I mean, he was not putting the team on for games.
I think he wasn't consistent enough, right? The highs were definitely Premier League level. It was just too few and far between. And
that's the thing. And I think it's just his end product. He, if he was more direct and had more confidence to take on his man, but he was started, going and coming back, doing 10 step overs. So for me, it might be, I don't know. I think if we got like a 15 million for him, I think that's kind of, potentially we could replace him. And if his head's turned anyway, then we don't want him here anyway, right? So you're going to let him go. But then, you know what he can do. So either way, if we got 15 million for him, I don't think you're going to get more than that for him, given, we're in the Championship and for a top end club, whether they'd pay any more than that. But so I'm like, meh, either way, I'd love to keep him because I know what he can do, but is that his ceiling? Again, we're talking about players that can do it if we go back up. There are other, I'm sure, little gems out there, but it's finding them, isn't it? That's the $1 million question.
This is what I'm thinking, though. Like the Italian clubs and Spanish clubs, we've seen it before, and we'll see it again. They like to offer. They like to offer like option to buys and don't.
Yeah, like a loan deal with an option to buy for 13 million.
Yeah, we don't want any more loans with options. Yeah,
no,
either go or no. Sick of those.
I agree completely. Right, Mark, I'm going to let you go, mate. Thank you so much for queuing up and coming on, mate. We'll see you soon. Doc, I need to get out of this room. It's fucking hot. So please tell me who the caller of the day is. Tell me who the caller of the day is, please.
It's hard. We've had some good callers here today. I'm giving it to Joe, I think, coming in here, saving me from being alone when you had your technical difficulties. Props to that. And some good points as well about, what it really means to be a real fan, right? It's not just sitting in the stands every weekend. There's more to it than that. Regardless, though, great show. And finally, a bit to discuss, right? It feels like we are close to something. I can feel it. The floodgates will open soon. It has to.
We'll see. We'll see about that. Right. Okay, we're going to call it there. Thanks to everybody who called in. Very much appreciated. Thanks to all the commenters as well, and everybody who has hit the like button and hit subscribe. And if you haven't, then make sure to do it right now. And remember, if you're bored this evening, go check out BlueTintedGlasses.com and see what's kicking off over there. Paul says, Brendan should have dropped Danny Ward after the Brighton game in September 2022. First call-in show that lasted an hour. Yeah, it's the weather, mate. I'm hot, so that's why it's lasted an hour. Right, all the best. We'll see you all very soon. Tomorrow night, Scouting Report, midfielders. It's going to be a blast. See you then, 7 o'clock. Bye-bye.